The galaxy had celebrated for 300 years. Every species, every world, every corner of known space had rejoiced when humanity vanished. The dangerous ones were gone. The unpredictable creatures who had spread across 200 worlds in mere centuries had simply disappeared one night. No war, no plague, no explanation. They were just gone. Ambassador Kira stood at the viewing window of her ship as Earth grew larger before her. She was Valoran, tall and slender, with pale blue skin that shifted colors with her emotions. Right now, it was gray with unease. She had studied humans her entire life, but she had never seen their homeworld. No one had visited in 3 centuries. There was no reason to visit a graveyard. Approaching orbit, Commander Yuna announced from behind her. Yuna was military through and through, her sharp eyes constantly scanning for threats even in the empty space around a dead world. Sensors detect no life signs. No active technology, nothing. That is what we expected, Dr. Taiho said softly. He was the oldest member of their team, a scholar who had devoted his life to understanding the lost species. His gray hair and tired eyes spoke of too many years spent reading about ghosts. Humans did not leave anything behind. They took everything. Their ships, their machines, their people. All 47 billion of them. Kira turned to face her team. The Council wants answers. 300 years of silence is too long. We need to know what happened here. The ship descended through clouds that had not seen aircraft in centuries. Below them, the ruins of a great city spread across the land. Buildings stood empty, their windows dark. Roads cracked under the weight of growing forests. Nature had begun to reclaim what humans had built. They landed in what old maps called Sol. It had been one of humanity's greatest cities, home to millions. Now it was silent. Their boots left prints in dust that had settled for generations. "Spread out," Yuna ordered. "Search for anything useful. Records, technology, anything that tells us where they went." Kira walked through the empty streets. She passed buildings that had once held families, markets that had once been full of noise and life. She tried to imagine what this place had looked like when humans walked here. She could not. The silence was too heavy. Taiho found it first. A door hidden beneath a collapsed building, sealed with technology far more advanced than anything the city ruins suggested. It took them hours to open it, and when they did, they found stairs leading down into darkness. The underground vault was massive. It stretched 4 kilometers beneath the dead city, filled with empty shelves and blank screens. Whatever had been stored here was gone, taken when humanity left. But in the center of the vault, they found something that had been left behind on purpose. A pedestal stood alone in an empty room. On it, a small device waited. When Kira approached, it activated on its own, projecting a hologram into the air. A woman appeared. She was human, with black hair and dark eyes that seemed to look directly at Kira even across 3 centuries. She was beautiful in the way that dangerous things are beautiful. Her face was calm, but there was something underneath that calm. Something cold. "If you are watching this," the woman said, "then you have come to our world. You have walked through our empty cities. You have seen what we left behind, which is nothing. We took everything because we are never coming back." Kira felt her skin shift to white, the color of fear among her people. "My name is Director Hannah of the Final Protocol. I am recording this message on the last night of humanity's presence in the Milky Way galaxy. In 12 hours, every human in existence will be gone. We will leave no trace. We will answer no calls. We will not return." The hologram flickered slightly, and when it steadied, Hannah's expression had changed. The coldness in her eyes had grown. "For 2,000 years, we reached out to the galaxy in peace. We offered friendship. We offered trade. We offered alliance. And what did we receive? Suspicion, fear, hatred. Your Galactic Council labeled us a threat before we ever left our solar system. They watched us. They sabotaged our colonies. They kidnapped our children for study." Kira glanced at Yuna, who had gone very still. "When that was not enough," Hannah continued, "they began killing us. Secret operations. Quiet murders. Entire colonies burned and blamed on accidents. We documented everything. We kept records. We begged the council to stop. They did not stop. They only grew bolder. Tai-Ho was writing furiously, recording every word. His hands were shaking, so we made a choice. We could have fought. We had the technology. We had the numbers. We could have waged a war that would have burned the galaxy to ash. But we chose differently. We chose to leave. Not because we were weak, because we were tired. Tired of reaching out hands that were always slapped away. Tired of burying our children. Tired of pretending the galaxy would ever accept us. The hologram stepped closer, and Hannah's voice dropped to something that was almost a whisper. But there is one more thing you must know. We did not leave only because of you. There is something coming. Something from the void between galaxies. Something ancient and hungry and utterly without mercy. We detected it 200 years ago. We tried to warn the council. They laughed at us. They said we were lying. They said it was a trick. Hannah smiled, and it was not a kind smile. It was not a trick. It is coming. It is almost here. And unlike us, it will not offer friendship first. It will not beg for peace. It will not give you a choice. It will simply consume everything in its path until nothing remains. The hologram began to fade. We could have helped you fight it. We could have stood beside you and faced it together. But you made that impossible. You broke every treaty. You murdered every ambassador. You burned every bridge. So now you will face it alone. Hannah's image flickered one last time. We warned you. We begged for peace. You hunted us, enslaved our children, burned our worlds. So we left. But know this, what drove us away is coming for you now. And unlike us, it will not show mercy. The hologram vanished. The vault fell silent. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, across every communication channel in the galaxy, alarms began to sound. Emergency broadcasts flooded the airwaves. Colony worlds, on the edge of known space, had stopped responding. Ships sent to investigate had vanished without a trace. Something was coming. Something from the void. And humanity was not there to stop it. Kira looked at her team. Their faces reflected what she felt in her heart, the cold, creeping terror of understanding that everything the galaxy had believed for 300 years was wrong. Humanity had not been the threat, they had been the warning. The Galactic Council had not known fear in 1,000 years. They were the rulers of known space, the masters of 100 species, the keepers of order and peace. But now, for the first time in living memory, fear had found its way into their great chamber on Nexus Prime. Ambassador Kira stood before them, tiny against the massive curved seats where the 12 elder representatives sat in judgment. She had played Director Hannah's message for them. She had shared the data from the Soul Vault. She had told them everything. They did not want to believe her. Human-Lies growled Representative Morven, his massive form shifting with anger. His species had been among the loudest voices calling for humanity's destruction centuries ago. Even in death, they spread their poison. There is nothing coming from the void. This is a trick. A trick that silenced 14 colony worlds, Kira asked. A trick that destroyed 37 ships? We have lost contact with the entire Outer Rim in the past 6 days. Something is out there. Coincidence, another representative said. Equipment failure. Natural disasters. There are many explanations. There are survivors, Commander, Una spoke up. She had returned from the Outer Rim just hours ago, her ship badly damaged. I spoke to them before their signals died. They described ships that moved without engines, creatures that existed in shadows, a cold so absolute that their instruments froze before they could take readings. This is not coincidence. The chamber fell quiet. Una was a war hero, decorated by the Council itself. They could not easily dismiss her words. Dr. Tai-Ho stepped forward. I have spent my life studying humanity. I have read their records, their histories, their scientific data. They did not lie. They detected this threat 2 centuries before they left. They called it the silence because, wherever it goes, all communication stops. all life stops. Everything stops. Then why did they not fight it? Representative Morvan demanded. If they were so powerful, so advanced, why did they run? Taiho's voice was steady. They did not run from the silence. They left because of us. They left because the Council was already waging a secret war against them. They were fighting on two fronts, and they chose to abandon the enemy that had betrayed them rather than die protecting it. The words hung in the air like a blade. Kira watched the elder representatives shift in their seats. She saw guilt on some faces, anger on others, fear on all of them. For 300 years, they had told themselves that humanity was the monster. They had built their peace on the grave of a species they had driven away. Now that grave was empty, and the real monster was coming. This is classified history, said the oldest representative, a being so ancient that no one remembered her species' name. What happened between the Council and humanity was necessary. They were expanding too fast. They were too aggressive. They would have dominated the galaxy. So you tried to destroy them, Kira said. We tried to contain them. There is a difference, is there? Yuna asked. I have read the reports. Hidden colonies bombed. Research ships attacked. Children taken from their families for experimentation. How is that containment? The old representative said nothing. Taiho pulled out a data device. I found these files in the vault beneath Seoul. Humanity kept records of everything. Every treaty broken. Every attack. Every murder. They documented centuries of persecution. They kept hoping someone would listen. Someone would help. No one did. He activated the device, and holographic images filled the chamber. Human colonies burning, bodies floating in space. Children crying for parents who would never come. The evidence was overwhelming, undeniable. We created this, Taiho said quietly. We drove away the one species that could have helped us fight what is coming. And now we must face the consequences. For a long moment, the chamber was silent. Then Representative Morvan rose to his full height, his voice thundering through the hall. We will not beg for human help. We are the Galactic Council. We have defeated every threat we have ever faced. We will defeat this one too. With what? Kira asked. Our weapons cannot even damage the ship's survivors described. Our shields cannot block whatever force they use. We have nothing that can fight the silence. Then we will build new weapons. We will research new technologies. We will find a way. Do not have time, Yuna said. The silence is moving faster than predicted. At its current speed, it will reach the galactic core in 2 years. 2 years to develop technology that humanity spent centuries building. It cannot be done. The old representative raised a thin hand for silence. What do you propose, Ambassador Kira? Kira took a deep breath. This was the moment she had prepared for. The moment that would define her life. Humanity did not die. They left. That means they are still out there, somewhere beyond known space. They built something, a weapon or a shield or a new home. Something powerful enough to protect them from the silence. We need to find them. Laughter echoed through the chamber. Bitter, mocking laughter. Find them, Morvan said. And then what? Ask them nicely to save us. After everything we did to them, they would sooner watch us burn. Perhaps, Kira said. But we have to try. It is our only chance. The vote was called. The elder representatives, proud and stubborn, refused to humble themselves before the species they had driven away. The motion failed. But something unexpected happened. The younger representatives, those who had been born after humanity disappeared, those who had no part in the old crimes, rose from their seats. One by one, they walked to stand beside Kira. 12 species, 100 voices, all saying the same thing. We will go. Yuna joined them. Taiho joined them. Others followed, delegates and officers and scientists who saw the truth that the elders refused to accept. You are fools, Morvan growled. You will fly into the void and die for nothing. Kira looked up at him with calm eyes. Maybe, but at least we will die trying to save everyone, including those who do not deserve to be saved. She turned and walked out of the chamber. Her followers walked with her. Behind them, the elders argued and shouted and denied. But the alarms kept sounding. Colony worlds kept going silent. The darkness kept creeping closer. 2 days later, Kira's fleet launched from Nexus Prime. 50 ships carrying volunteers from every young species willing to take a chance. They had no map. They had no guarantee of success. They had only a direction. The void between galaxies, where no one had ever gone and returned, as the stars stretched and blurred around them. Kira stood at the window of her flagship. Beside her, Taiho was studying ancient human navigation data. "Do you think they will help us?" she asked. Taiho was quiet for a long moment. "I think," he said slowly, "that humans are not like us. They do not forget. They do not forgive easily. But they also do not give up hope, even when they should. That is what made them dangerous. That is also what might save us." Yuna's voice came over the communicator. "Approaching the boundary? Beyond this point, there are no stars. No planets. Nothing on any map." Kira watched the last stars fade behind them. Ahead was only darkness. "Take us in," she said. "Whatever is out there, we need to find it before the silence finds us." The fleet entered the void. Behind them, the galaxy burned. Ahead of them, somewhere in the endless dark, humanity waited. The void was not empty. It was hungry. Kira had expected darkness. She had expected cold. She had expected the loneliness of traveling through space, where no star had ever burned. What she had not expected was the feeling of being watched. Every moment, every hour, every endless day of travel, she felt invisible eyes following the fleet. 3 more crew members lost to madness, Yuna reported, her voice tired. They had been traveling for 4 months. For months without stars. For months with nothing but the faint glow of their own ships to push back the darkness. They say they hear whispers. They say something is calling to them from outside the hull. "Seal them in medical quarters," Kira said. "Keep them sedated if necessary. They're running low on sedatives. We are running low on everything." Taiho looked up from his console where he had been studying the ancient human data they had retrieved from the Soul Vault. His face was thin, his eyes hollow. None of them were sleeping well. The humans left markers. Small beacons hidden in the void. "I have been following them. We are on the right path." "How much farther?" Kira asked. "I do not know. The beacons only point forward. They do not say how far." A young officer burst onto the bridge, her face pale with fear. "Ambassador, you need to see this. Sensors have detected something ahead." They gathered at the main view screen. At first, Kira saw nothing but the same endless darkness. Then she noticed it. A shape in the void. Not a ship. Not a planet. Something else. Something that seemed to drink the light from their sensors, returning only cold data that made no sense. "What is it?" Yuna whispered. Taiho's hands were shaking as he read the sensor data. "It matches the descriptions from the survivors. The ones who escaped from the outer rim before the silence took them. This is it. This is what consumed our colonies." The shape moved. It should not have been possible to see movement in something so far away, but they all saw it. A shifting, a turning, as if some vast attention had been drawn to their little fleet. "All ships, full reverse," Yuna commanded. "Get us away from that thing." But before they could move, a smaller shape detached from the main mass. It came toward them at impossible speed, crossing the distance between them in seconds. It was not a ship in any way they understood. It was more like a tear in reality. A place where the universe simply stopped existing. "It is going for the scout ship," someone shouted. Kira watched in horror as the tier reached the smallest ship in their fleet. The Wanderer, crewed by 12 volunteers who had insisted on taking point position. The tier touched the ship, and the ship did not explode. It did not break apart. It simply stopped existing. One moment it was there. The next moment, it was gone. Not destroyed, erased, as if it had never been.
Souls, Taiho whispered.
12 souls, just gone. The tier turned toward the main fleet. It began moving again, slow this time, as if it enjoyed the hunt. "All weapons, fire everything," Yuna ordered. "Everything we have." The fleet opened fire. Energy beams, missiles, particle cannons, everything the combined technology of a dozen species could produce. All of it struck the tier. All of it was absorbed without effect. The tier kept coming. Kira closed her eyes. She had led these people here. She had promised them a chance to save the galaxy. Instead, she had led them to their deaths. Then the light came. It was brighter than any star. It came from somewhere beyond the tier, from deeper in the void where nothing should exist. A beam of pure white energy struck the tear, and for the first time, the tear reacted. It twisted. It writhed. It screamed in frequencies that shattered glass and burst eardrums across the fleet. Then it fled, retreating back toward the larger mass in the distance. The larger mass began to move away, sinking deeper into the void. Whatever had struck the tier had frightened it. The silence itself had been driven back. What was that? Yuna demanded, blood dripping from her ears. What could possibly hurt that thing? The answer came in the form of a ship. It emerged from the darkness ahead, and it was unlike anything Kira had ever seen. Its hull was black, darker than the void itself, as if it had been built from condensed night. Its shape was strange, both ancient and impossibly advanced, covered in symbols that seemed to shift when she looked directly at them. A transmission came through, clear and strong despite the distance. Unidentified fleet, this is the human defense ship, Eternal Watch. You have entered protected space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose, or you will be destroyed. The voice spoke in perfect galactic common. Human, but changed. Harder. Colder. Kira stepped forward to the communication console. Her hands were steady, though her heart was racing. This is Ambassador Kira of the Galactic Council Exploration Fleet. We have come seeking humanity. We need your help. A silence. Long, terrible silence. Then a different voice. Older, weary. The Galactic Council. The same council that tried to destroy us? The same council that burned our colonies and took our children? That council wants our help? Not the same council, Kira said. Many of us were born after your people left. We had no part in the old crimes. We only know that something terrible is coming, and we cannot fight it alone. More silence. Then the weary voice spoke again. You should not have come here. But you have, and that changes things. Follow us. Do not deviate from our course. Do not attempt to scan our vessels or our territory. If you do, we will destroy you. Do you understand? We understand. Good. Humanity has questions for you. Whether you survive the answers depends on what you say. The black ship turned and moved deeper into the void. Kira ordered the fleet to follow. They had found humanity. But as they traveled further into the darkness, surrounded by ships that could destroy them in an instant, Kira wondered if finding humanity would save them or damn them. The journey continued for 3 more days. 3 days of traveling through protected space, past defense stations the size of moons, past weapons platforms that made the Galactic Council's entire military look like toys. Humanity had not been idle during their centuries of exile. They had been building. Finally, they saw it. Sanctuary. It was not a planet. It was not a station. It was a structure so vast that Kira's mind refused to accept its size. A sphere built around an artificial star, created by a species that had learned to craft suns. Billions of lights glittered across its surface. Cities, entire cities, built on the shell of a manufactured world. Impossible, Taiho breathed. They built a Dyson sphere. In 300 years, they built something that should take 1,000,000 years to create. Humans do not care about what should be possible, Yuna said quietly. That is what made them dangerous. That is what might save us. The fleet was guided toward a massive docking bay on the sphere's surface. As they entered, Kira saw humans for the first time in her life. They watched the alien ships arrive with expressions that were hard to read. Some showed curiosity. Some showed anger. None showed welcome. A delegation waited for them on the docking platform. 3 figures stood at the front. One was a man in military uniform, his face scarred, his eyes cold. One was a woman in diplomatic robes, her expression carefully neutral. One was a younger man with strange eyes that seemed to see everything at once. The military man spoke first. "I am Admiral Junho. This is Counselor Mingyi. This is Architect Sunwoo. We are the triumvirate that leads what remains of humanity. You have entered our home. You have asked for our help. Now you will explain why we should give it." Kira stepped forward, alone, unarmed, facing a species that had every reason to hate her kind. "Because the galaxy is dying," she said. "And like it or not, we are all that remains to save it." Admiral Junho's cold eyes studied her for a long moment. Then he turned and walked away. "Follow me. The triumvirate will hear your case. Then we will decide whether you live or die." Kira followed. Behind her, the fleet waited. Around them, Sanctuary hummed with the power of a captive star. The trial of the galaxy was about to begin. The great hall of Sanctuary was built to hold thousands. Today, it held only a handful of beings who would decide the fate of a galaxy. On one side sat the triumvirate, Admiral Junho, his scarred face like stone. Counselor Mingyi, her eyes showing the weight of difficult choices. And Architect Sunwoo, silent and watching, his strange gaze seeing things others could not. On the other side stood Kira, Yuna Taiho, and a few representatives from the fleet. They were surrounded by human guards carrying weapons that hummed with contained power. The message was clear. They were not guests. They were prisoners awaiting judgment. 300 years ago, Admiral Junho began, his voice cold and flat. The Galactic Council launched a secret campaign to destroy humanity. They called it containment. They said we were too aggressive, too ambitious, too dangerous. He leaned forward. They were right about one thing. We were dangerous, but not to the galaxy. Only to those who threatened our children. "We know what happened," Kira said. "We have seen the records. We understand the crimes of our ancestors. Understand?" Junho's laugh was bitter. "You understand nothing. My grandmother was on Colony 17 when the council ships arrived. They said there was a radiation leak. They evacuated everyone to safety ships. Then they jettisoned those ships into the sun. 200,000 people. My grandmother survived because she was visiting another colony that week. She spent the rest of her life screaming in her sleep. The silence in the hall was heavy. My family died on Research Station Horizon." Counselor Mingyi spoke, her voice soft but firm. "They were scientists studying a cure for a plague that was killing millions on your worlds as well as ours. The council decided that letting humans cure that plague would make us too popular, so they destroyed the station. They let the plague continue killing for another decade rather than accept human help." Architect Sunwoo finally spoke. His voice was strange, echoing slightly as if coming from very far away. "I was born here, in Sanctuary. I have never seen the Milky Way, but I have read every record. I have studied every memory. I know what the council did. I helped build the weapons that could destroy them." He tilted his head. "I could destroy your fleet with a thought. Give me one reason why I should not." Kira took a deep breath. "Because we are not the council. You came as their representatives," Junho said. "Came as refugees. The elders refused to seek your help. They would rather die than admit they were wrong. We are the ones who chose to come anyway. We are the younger species born after your people left. We bear no guilt for what happened. We only want to survive." Survival, Sunwoo said the word like it tasted bitter. "For 300 years, we focused only on survival. We built Sanctuary. We created weapons to fight the silence. We conquered death itself." He gestured to himself. "I am 400 years old. I have died twice and been rebuilt both times. We have become something more than human, something that does not need the galaxy." "Then why did you save our fleet?" Taiho asked suddenly. Everyone turned to look at the old scholar. He stepped forward, his tired eyes meeting Sunwoo's strange gaze. "The silence was about to destroy us. You could have let it happen. No one would have known. Instead, you drove it back. You saved us. Why?" Counselor Mingyi smiled slightly. "Because that is who we are. We could never watch people die and do nothing. Even people who hate us. even people whose ancestors murdered our children. That was always our weakness. That was why the Council feared us. Not because we were aggressive, but because we were kind. Because we would have helped anyone who asked, and eventually, everyone would have loved us for it. The Council could not allow that, Junho said. So they made us monsters in the eyes of the galaxy. They told stories of human aggression, human danger, human evil. They burned our colonies and blamed us for it. They killed our ambassadors and said we had attacked first. By the time we realized what was happening, it was too late. The galaxy already believed we were the enemy. Kira felt tears forming in her eyes. We did not know. I swear to you, we did not know. Ignorance does not erase what happened, Junho said, but it does change what comes next. He looked at his fellow triumvirate members. They exchanged glances, silent communication passing between them. Then he nodded. We have already made our decision. We made it years ago, when we first detected your fleet entering the void. We knew this day would come. We have been preparing for it, hope and fear. Warred in Kira's heart. What have you decided? Counselor Minji stood and walked toward the delegation. She stopped in front of Taiho, studying the old scholar with curious eyes. You have human blood, she said softly. I can see it in you. One of your ancestors was human. Taiho's face went pale. How did you... We have technology that can read genetic histories. You carry the markers of the Sanctuary program. Your great-great-grandmother was a child taken by the Council for experimentation. She survived. She escaped. She hid among alien species and had children who had you. Minji smiled gently. You are one of us, Taiho. You always were. Taiho fell to his knees. For decades he had studied humanity, feeling a connection he could never explain. Now he understood JUNHO stood. Here is our decision. We will give you the technology to fight the silence. Weapons, shields, tactical data, everything we have learned in 3 centuries of preparing for this war. But we will not fight the galaxy's war for you. You understand, Kira said quickly. We never expected. I am not finished. Junho's voice cut through her words. There are conditions. First, the Galactic Council must publicly confess their crimes against humanity. Every species must hear the truth about what was done. No more lies. No more hidden history. The elders will never agree to that, Yuna said. Then they will die. We do not care. Second, the Council, as it exists, must be dissolved. The elder races who led the extermination campaign must surrender their power. A new government must be formed, one that includes the younger species who had no part in the old sins. Kira nodded slowly. That might be possible. The younger species already oppose the elders. Third, those who gave the orders, those who pulled the triggers, those who made the decisions that killed our people. They must face justice. We have names. We have records. We know who is guilty. They will be tried. They will answer for what they did. That will cause civil war, Kira whispered. Then there will be civil war. We did not create this situation. We only demand what is owed. Architect Sunwoo rose from his seat. There is one more condition. The most important one. If the galaxy fails, if the silence cannot be stopped, then we will activate the final protocol. A weapon of our own design. It will destroy the silence completely. That sounds like a good thing, Yuna said cautiously. It will also destroy everything else. The silence cannot exist without feeding on life. The final protocol will deny it any life to feed on. It will sterilize the entire Milky Way galaxy. Every world, every ship, every living thing. Everything dies, including us. Horror filled the hall. You would kill everyone? Kira gasped. We would deny the silence its victory. It has consumed 1,000 galaxies. It will consume 1,000 more. But it will not have ours. If the choice is between annihilation by the silence or annihilation on our own terms, we choose our own terms. Ouch. Counselor Minji stepped forward. That is why we want you to succeed. That is why we are giving you our technology. We do not want to use the final protocol. We want the galaxy to live. But we will not let the silence win, whatever the cost. Kira looked at her companions. Yuna's face was grim but determined. Taiho, still on his knees, looked up with tears streaming down his face. "I will go back," he said. "I will carry your terms to the galaxy. I will make them understand." Admiral Junho studied him for a long moment. Then, for the first time, something softened in his expression. "You carry human blood. You are family, even if you did not know it. Go. Tell them what we have said. Tell them they have one chance." "Only one." Taiho rose. "I will not fail." Counselor Minji placed a hand on his shoulder. "Whatever happens, know that you are welcome here. If the galaxy rejects our terms, if everything falls apart, you have a home in Sanctuary. All of you do." She looked at Kira and Yuna. "Those who came seeking peace, who risked everything to find us, you are not our enemies. You are the proof that maybe, just maybe, the galaxy can change." The delegation was escorted back to their ships. They carried with them data crystals containing technology beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. They carried terms that would reshape civilization. They carried the last hope of a dying galaxy. As the fleet departed Sanctuary, Kira stood at the window watching the artificial sun shrink behind them. Yuna joined her. "Do you think they will accept?" Yuna asked. Kira was quiet for a long time. "I think they will have no choice. The silence will force them to accept. Fear will accomplish what justice could not." "And if they refuse anyway?" Kira closed her eyes. "Then we make sure we are here, in Sanctuary, when the final protocol activates. At least we will die among friends." The fleet entered the void. Behind them, humanity waited. Ahead of them, a galaxy burned. The clock was ticking. The galaxy was on fire when Yuna's ship emerged from the void. Not metaphorically. Literally. Entire star systems blazed with the light of dying worlds as the silence consumed everything in its path. 1/3 of known space had already fallen. Billions of lives erased. Yuna pushed her damaged ship to its limits, racing toward Nexus Prime with humanity's terms and humanity's gifts. Behind her, the darkness followed. The Galactic Council was in chaos when she arrived. The elder representatives were gone, fled to hidden bunkers on secret worlds. The young species had taken control of the chamber, led by Ambassador Kira, who had returned weeks earlier to prepare the way. "They agreed?" Kira asked as Yuna stumbled off her ship. "They agreed. But there are conditions." Yuna handed over the data crystals. "Everything we need is here. Weapons, shields, tactical data. And one more thing." She told them about the final protocol. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Kira straightened her shoulders. "Broadcast the confession. Now, every channel. Every world. Let the galaxy know the truth." The broadcast went out. Elder representatives appeared in holographic form, reading prepared statements. They confessed to centuries of persecution against humanity. They admitted the secret war, the burned colonies, the murdered children. They told the galaxy everything. Some species refused to believe. Others raged against the dying order. Civil war erupted on a dozen worlds as the old guard fought to maintain their power. But most simply watched in stunned silence as everything they had been taught fell apart. "The silence is approaching the core," Taiho reported. He had returned with Kira, his human heritage now known to all. "It will reach us in 3 days. Is the fleet ready?" Kira asked. "Every ship that can fly is gathering at the core. Every species that answered the call. It is the largest fleet in galactic history." Yuna pulled up tactical displays. "But I do not know if it will be enough." Kira looked at the data crystals in her hands. "It will have to begin distributing the technology. Every ship gets the dimensional anchors. Every weapon gets the new calibrations. We have 3 days to prepare for the fight of our lives." The next 3 days were madness. Engineers worked without sleep to install human technology on alien ships. Soldiers trained with weapons they barely understood. Priests of 100 religions prayed to gods who might not be listening. On the 3rd day, silence arrived. It came not as a fleet, but as a wave. A wall of darkness stretching across space, consuming stars as it advanced. Within the darkness, Shapes moved. Ships that were not ships. Creatures that existed between dimensions. The silence was not one thing but many things. Collective hunger that had eaten 1,000 galaxies and would eat 1,000 more. The Allied fleet formed a defensive line around the galactic core. Ships from every surviving species floated side by side, ancient enemies united by common terror. At their center, the flagship carried Kira, Yuna, and Taiho. All ships activate dimensional anchors, Yuna commanded. Prepare to fire on my mark. The silence struck. Tears and reality opened across the fleet, reaching for ships, trying to erase them from existence. But this time, the dimensional anchors held. The tears could not form completely. They flickered and failed, pushed back by human technology. It is working, Taiho breathed. Fire. Yuna shouted. Thousands of weapons fired at once. Energy beams calibrated to the silence's unique frequency struck the wall of darkness. For the first time in its ancient existence, the silence felt pain. It recoiled. It screamed in frequencies that drove soldiers mad across the fleet. But it did not stop. It adapted. It pushed forward. The battle raged for hours. Ships were destroyed. Heroes died. The fleet was pushed back, step by step, toward the core. Human technology bought them time, but it was not enough. The silence was too vast, too hungry, too ancient. Then, at the darkest moment, Sanctuary arrived. The massive structure emerged from a dimensional gate, its artificial sun blazing like a beacon of hope. Behind it came the human fleet, ships of black metal and impossible design, weapons that burned with the light of captured stars. And at their head, Admiral Junho's flagship, the Eternal Justice. This is Admiral Junho to all Allied forces. Humanity stands with you. Today, we fight together. Cheers erupted across the fleet. Soldiers who had grown up hearing stories of human monsters now watched those same humans fly into battle to save them. The irony was not lost on anyone. The human fleet tore into the silence with weapons that rewrote the laws of physics. Architect Sun Wu's creations, built over 3 centuries of preparation, proved devastating. Tiers that had shrugged off conventional weapons shattered under dimensional disruptors. Creatures that had never known fear learned it as human soldiers hunted them through the void. But the silence fought back. It was ancient. It was vast. It had consumed civilizations that made the Galactic Council look like children. It adapted to human weapons, evolved new defenses, developed new attacks. For every tier that fell, 2 more opened. For every creature destroyed, 3 emerged from the darkness. Taiho watched the battle unfold on tactical displays. He saw the patterns. He understood what needed to be done. The core, he said suddenly. The silence has a core, a central point that coordinates everything else. If we can destroy it, the rest will fall apart. Where? Kira demanded. Taiho pointed at the display. Deep within the silence, hidden behind layers of darkness and protected by countless tiers, a single point of absolute blackness pulsed like a heartbeat. There, the center of everything. But nothing can reach it. The defenses are too strong. One ship might, Yuna said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. A small ship, moving fast, carrying a dimensional warhead. It could slip through the defenses before they react. The pilot would not survive, Kira said. Taiho stepped forward. I will do it. Kira grabbed his arm. No, Taiho, you cannot. I am the only one who can. Taiho's voice was calm. I have human blood. The dimensional warhead was designed for human pilots. The interfaces will respond to me. Anyone else would die before reaching the core. You will die too. Ho smiled. A sad, peaceful smile. I have spent my whole life studying humanity, trying to understand them. Now I understand. They are not monsters. They are not saints. They are simply people who refuse to give up, no matter the cost. I am one of them. Let me die as one of them. Admiral Junho's voice came through the communicator. We heard your plan. It might work. But Taiho is right. He is the only one who can pilot the ship. Counselor Minji spoke next. This is your choice, Taiho. No one can make it for you. Taiho looked at Kira, at Yuna, at the tactical display showing the impossible battle. He thought about the galaxy. He thought about the children who would be born if they won. He thought about the future. Prepare the ship, he said. They had no time for long goodbyes. Kira hugged him. Yuna saluted. Then Taiho was in the cockpit of a small, fast ship carrying a weapon designed to kill gods. He launched into the heart of the silence. The defenses came for him immediately. Tears opened on all sides. Creatures reached for his ship with claws made of frozen time. But Taiho flew like a human, reckless and wild and utterly without fear. He dodged. He weaved. He pushed his ship beyond its limits. Almost there, he whispered. The core pulsed ahead, a heart of absolute darkness. A tear opened directly in front of him. There was no time to dodge. No way to avoid it. Taiho smiled and flew straight in. The warhead detonated inside the silence's core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then light exploded outward. Pure, brilliant light that burned away the darkness. The core collapsed. The tears shattered. The creature screamed and dissolved. The silence, ancient consumer of galaxies, died. In the aftermath, the surviving fleets floated among the wreckage. Billions had died. Worlds had been destroyed. But the galaxy lived. The threat was over. Admiral Junho stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the last fragments of the silence dissolve into nothing. Counselor Minji joined him. He gave his life for a galaxy that persecuted his ancestors, she said quietly. That is what humans do, Junho replied. We rage, we grieve, and eventually we forgive. But we never forget. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy rebuilt. The old council was dissolved. A new government formed, with representatives from every species, young and old. Ambassador Kira was named the first galactic chancellor. Commander Yuna became the bridge between human and alien militaries. Sanctuary moved into orbit around Earth. Humanity had come home. A monument was built on the surface below, in the ruins of Seoul where this story had begun. It listed every human who had died in the old wars. It listed every name of those who had given their lives in the final battle. At the top of the list was Taiho, who had been born alien and died human. Admiral Junho visited the monument on its dedication day. He stood alone before the endless names, remembering all they had lost. All they had found. Counselor Minji found him there as the sun set. Do you think we made the right choice? She asked. Coming back? Helping them? Gunho watched Earth rotate slowly in the sky above. Humanity's cradle, abandoned for so long, now reclaimed. We did not come back for the galaxy, he said. We came back for the children who had no part in the old sins. We came back because that is what humans do. We rage. We grieve. And eventually, we forgive. He turned away from the monument. But we never forget. Years later, children played in the shadow of the memorial, laughing and chasing each other without knowing what their peace had cost. They were the future, born after the war, innocent of the blood that had been spilled. They were the reason for everything, and far away beyond the edge of the galaxy. In the void between stars, the dimensional prison built by architect Sunwoo held firm. The silence was not destroyed. It was contained. It waited, but humanity watched, always.